What's up, guys? It's Meg and welcome back to Meg After Dark. Today we're talking about the latest episode of The Walking Dead. We're on season 7, episode 9, called Rockin' the Road. I know this video is super late. Tomorrow is Saturday. You're probably gonna see this on Saturday. But better late than never, right? And I feel like those who want to watch it can watch it. Otherwise, I will see you during my reaction video. It's been kind of a weird week. It was my birthday, you guys. Guess how old I am in the comments. Okay, you're totally gonna guess wrong unless you have been watching me for a really long time. Okay, let's get started with this review. First off, the episode starts out with Gabriel. It actually picks up immediately after the end credit scene of the finale for season 7, episode 8. So if you had originally missed it, which you probably didn't, but after the credits, there was this end scene where we see the person who we believe to be the boots, you know, the woman or man with the wearing the boots that was at the boat with Rick and Aaron that was watching them. And the end credit scene leads us to believe that this person followed them back and is essentially spying. We see them with binoculars, and that's pretty much end scene. They're watching Gabriel. So episode 9 starts out with Gabriel still up there on the wall, keeping watch. I love that Gabriel is taking an active part of the community, like now. And I've really been loving Gabriel's character up until the beginning of this episode, where you're kind of led to believe it was so weird. And I still don't even fully understand why they filmed it like this, but we see Gabriel and he gives no acknowledgement that he knows he's being watched, or like, it doesn't appear at all. It appears that he's just walking casually. He leaves the wall, which he's supposed to stay on the wall. So he like casually is walking to the pantry, and it just seems really odd that time of the night. And he seems so casual, walking into the back. And then all of a sudden you hear crash, bang, things falling down, and your first reaction is he's been attacked. And I immediately was thinking he's been attacked by the person who was watching, you know, the boots, the person, the junkyard person. That's what I've been referring to them as. But then you just see him and you never see this person, right? It's the weirdest thing, because even at the end of the episode, you still don't know who the person in the boots is, right? It's kind of weird. And you see him loading up, and I was like, okay, he wasn't attacked. You know, and I'm watching him going, what the hell is he doing? Is he really taking all the food and weapons? Like, it was so confusing, because then you kind of start to not like him, because you're like, dude, what are you doing? Nobody's holding a gun to your head, at least that we can see, obviously. And so you start kind of thinking, is he really taking everything? Like, what? Is he scared? I'm so confused. And then as he's driving off, and I had to rewind it, but as he's driving off, you see a head pop up either in the passenger seat or in the back. And I was like, that has to be, immediately, I'm thinking that has to be the person in the boots that was watching him. And then we don't hear from Gabriel at all. We still don't even see him in the end of the episode, which we'll talk more about the end of the episode in a minute. I want to move forward and talk about Gregory for a little bit. Xander Berkeley plays him so freaking well. I really hated Gregory in the comics, okay? But the way he has been brought to life on the television screen is really amazing, because it's not just that you hate him, it's really funny. Like, he's playing Gregory in a super funny way, and he's like one of those annoying people who always has to be right, and like, oh my god, the way Xander plays him is just so amazing, because it's like you love to hate him. And at this point, you know, I was hating Gregory in the first few times we saw him, to the point where I was like, you can die now, like, I'm done. I don't even like this character at all. And now after this episode, I'm like, okay, he's really funny. Eventually I'm gonna enjoy Maggie taking over, but I like his character right now. Like, I really get a kick out of the humor that is brought to him. Like, he's not only arrogant and like this awful person who deliberately calls people the wrong name to demean them. Because, you know, he was calling Maggie in like the last episode before, you know, the previous episode. So he knows her name. So you know that he's doing it deliberately to kind of anger them even more, you know? And I just love, I love these interactions with our group, because they just can't wrap their brain around why he is so ridiculously stupid, you know? So obviously they're there to ask for help from the hilltop, and Gregory of course says no. We knew he was gonna say no. I had no doubt about that. Enid shows up and she has rounded up some people and told them what Maggie wants to do, and I love that. I love seeing Enid step up and help Maggie out, you know, and round up these people. And you find out that there are people, not a lot, but there are people willing to fight despite the fact that Gregory has not gone along with this plan. Okay, so there's still people here. Same with the kingdom. Jesus tells Rick that it's time to meet the king Ezekiel, and I love the humor when they finally arrived at the kingdom and they see Ezekiel for the first time, and they've all got that like what the fuck look on their face when they see Shiva and the fact that he's acting like a true king, you know. Because I sort of feel like at this point they've like seen it all, you know, where they're like, really? I thought we'd seen it all at this point. Now I really have. Like, this dude has a freaking pet tiger and he thinks he's a king. It was pretty comical. I definitely enjoyed the fact that I got to laugh a lot in this episode. In the end, Ezekiel says no. Before that, we meet back up again with Morgan. Rick finally sees Morgan again. He knows that he's okay because that was kind of left hanging a while ago when Morgan went after Carol and he was like, don't come looking for me, pretty much. And, you know, like, if he comes back, he'll come back, but if he doesn't, don't come after him. And so I love that they were finally reunited, that Morgan actually got to Morgan actually got to hear who died and how they died and how brutally they died. They didn't just say Glenn, Abe, Olivia Spencer died, Eugene's, like, they said how. And, you know, there's a point there where Ezekiel asks for Morgan's advice, and Morgan still says maybe there's another way, maybe you can just capture Negan, but you can tell that he has changed. I mean, obviously when he killed the savior for Carol to save Carol, he changed in that point, but he is more open when he follows after Rick after Ezekiel, you know, the next morning declares that he won't be a part of it. Morgan does kind of follow Rick out and is still talking to him, you know, and you get the sense that he's not necessarily against it, you know what I mean? Like, he's just hoping for an easier way, hoping that people don't die. I love Benjamin, which means he's probably gonna die, right? love his character now. At first I was like, whatever, but man, the wisdom that he gave Ezekiel, and being such a young kid, the fact that he was able to speak those words and say, like, my dad always said, if you have an opportunity to be a hero, be a hero. And he's giving Ezekiel this like really good advice for someone his age. And at that point, I'm thinking, well, Ezekiel might just decide to help. And then when he doesn't, you kind of get the sense that, especially with Benjamin going off on his own, you kind of get the sense that perhaps, like a prediction here, Benjamin will die at the hands of the saviors, and that will in turn make the decision for Ezekiel that he will help, because he's very close to Benjamin, and I kind of get a sense that he cares quite a bit about Benjamin compared to other people, you know, like he has friends, he has people, but Benjamin is kind of like, he's taken him under his wing, you know, and he wanted Morgan to train him to fight properly, like he wants to keep him safe. And so you kind of get the sense that if Benjamin were to die, like that would probably be a key factor in making Ezekiel choose to fight. Nevertheless, Daryl stays behind. He doesn't want to, but he does. So once again, they're separated. I kind of feel like prediction for him meeting back up with Carol, that he's probably going to be out in the woods or something, and he's going to run into Carol. I feel like that's how they're going to meet up. He'll probably be the one to say that Glenn and Abe died, something like that. I'm hoping for a reunion. I'm not like a huge like Carol Daryl shipper or anything like that. I always liked their dynamic, even back from season 2. You know, they've always had this connection based off of Sophia, and it's a friendship, you know, and it's gotten a deeper friendship up until, you know, when Rick sent Carol away and Daryl was so angry about it, and when they were finally reunited, you know, they've always had this connection, and where they're separated and they find each other. And I'm not even thinking about it in a romantic way. I am just wanting that reunion really bad right now. I feel like Daryl needs it, Carol needs it, and that moment, and I'm getting a little teary thinking about it, because that moment when Rick was like, Carol, did you find her? And Morgan starts telling Rick about Carol. You can see Daryl, like, he's kind of almost like he paces, he moves forward, he's like, where is she? Like, he really wants to know where she is. And it's unfortunate that Morgan decides to keep the secret. I mean, I like that he is loyal enough to Carol to not go against her wishes, but at the same time I'm like, no, like, Carol needs to be back with our group. We need her back. I'm so worried about her out there on her own. Nevertheless, my point here is that Daryl stays behind, and I'm hoping that he meets back up with Carol. It looks like Richard has some plans to use Daryl, and it does appear that there are still people there at the kingdom that would be willing to fight, especially once they actually knew what was going on. Because the whole thing at the kingdom is they have all these people, and they're clearly training people. You can see the soldiers running and training, and they clearly have people, they have the weapons, they could do it, but most of them don't actually know what's going on. So there's that. Okay, so we get the most epic Walker kills, herd kills. Like, I don't even know how to describe this thing. I was in such shock, like, when I saw, I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about, the clothesline, let's cut the entire herd of walkers in half. Like, I was so blown away by this scene. Like, I honestly have no idea how they even thought of this. Like, how do you come up with this? I guess in The Walking Dead 7 seasons in, you have to, coming up on 8 seasons, you have to come up with unique ways to take out walkers, because you can't always just be stabbing them in the head, or, you know, you have to come up with these unique ways. And I've just, not only was it like the most brilliant way to take out a herd of walkers, they got explosives, which they really needed. And Rick and Michonne, like, Michonne, oh my gosh, if you were never a Michonne shipper at this point, if you never loved them, like, surely you must love them now, because I don't know how you can't just adore them as a couple, as a team. They are so badass together. And at the end, when, I mean, it was a really close call there for Rick and for Michonne when they leapt out of their cars and were running back to the group to hop in that car. They were, I mean, they couldn't even really pull weapons or anything. They were so crowded in, and you just see them like elbowing the walkers out of the way. And it's this desperate moment, like, where you sort of feel like Rick is like thinking he's not gonna make it, you know? And he gets back in the car and he's almost hyperventilating, and she's hugging him and she's like, it's okay, we did it, we made it. And she delivers that line from the comics, and I'm gonna cry, because I'm already crying, you guys, because it was such an emotional, like, the way these actors portray these characters, and you just feel it, and it feels so real, and it's just truly the best acting, I feel like. But when she says, we're the ones who live, it was just, as a comic fan, it was just one of those really big moments for me, seeing that phrase be said by Michonne to Rick. And it was a really close call, and I just, now I'm rambling, but you know, the feels, they're just so amazing together. And so there's this, you know, this brilliant take out a herd of walkers. They all survive. They're headed back. They hear, obviously they've heard Negan on the radio. They know that they have to get back to Alexandria right away. They get back to Alexandria. No sooner do they get there than, why can't I think of the dude's name? Negan's right-hand man. It's on the tip of my tongue and I can't think of it now. I know y'all will tell me. I just can't think of it. I don't have time because this video is already super long. But he comes, they destroy Alexandria even more. Rick finds out after they leave that the pantry is empty and that Gabriel has disappeared. Now, nobody figured out that Gabriel left clues. Thank the Lord that Rick is a sheriff, or used to be a sheriff, because I swear they would have just been like, whatever, Gabriel just left, like, but Rick knew that it was suspicious, and especially the Bible, and then he found the note. And that was another weird thing, was I don't know how Gabriel knew about the boat. Like, he just wrote one word boat, but they never told Gabriel about the boat. So this person that took him, not really, I mean, you get the sense that he kind of they were like holding him at gunpoint, or, you know, like with weapons on him, like forcing him to do this. You never hear the person talk. You never even know they're there. But you get the sense that the person must have said something about the boat, or been like, I followed you because you took my stuff from the boat, or something like that, right? Like, we want our stuff back, something. I get the sense that these people were probably storing stuff on the boat. I don't think that these people were the original owner of the boat or the person who did the sign, but I have a feeling either that was their stuff, or they watched, you know, they were scouting out and they watched them take the stuff and they were like, well, we want all the stuff that you got from the boat, something like that. Rick goes out to that area, they find tracks, they get surrounded by this huge group of people. Now, there are men in this group, but man, there were a lot of women, right? And they all have weapons and hand weapons, and they were very quiet, and none of them spoke, and they just were slowly surrounding our group. And you see Rick, and I want to talk about this smile that he does, because some people have been like, oh, he's seeing someone that he knows, that he recognizes. No, he's not seeing anyone he recognizes. Gabriel's not right there, at least I don't think so. He's smiling because he sees the army. He's been denied by the kingdom, he's been denied by the hilltop, and he sees this as an opportunity that he can talk his way through to this group and get them to fight against Negan. Like, this is, and that's why he's smiling, because he's, you know, not that he's, it's just, yes, they've been kind of captured, but he sees this as a very big opportunity to have a lot of people, I mean, this is a very big group, to help fight Negan. So in the promos for the next episode, episode 10, now I haven't even read the synopsis or the synopsis for it at all, but one of the promos has them, it looks like they're in like a junkyard, right? And it's kind of in this big circle, and you see Rick and the group there walking in, and all of these members of this community are kind of like circling and moving in, and then you get a top shot of it, and it looks like almost they formed this arena, right? And in one of the previous promos, you had seen that walker that had like a helmet and spikes and body armor, and pretty much they've made this walker like impossible to kill. And you kind of get the sense, like, I don't know why I thought this. Well, I immediately was like, welcome to the Thunderdome. Like, that's what it reminded me of. But you almost get the sense that, so this lady, she says, we own your lives now, want to buy them back? And you hear Rick's voice over the promo saying, Negan, you know, the saviors own our lives, we don't own our, whatever he says, I can't remember. But I almost wonder if they're like gonna make him like prove himself by fighting this walker or something like that. Like, don't you just wonder about that? Like, do they make people fight the walker to prove their worth? It's the weirdest thing. And where did all these people come from? Like, this is a huge group. So this video is super long. I apologize. I try and talk so fast. Like, you guys have heard me, I've been talking fast, but I just always have so much to say. That's it for this video. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode in the comments. And I recently picked up The Walking Dead issue, what is it, 164 now, Fallen House. It was really good, but not, I mean, it was like, it wasn't the best issue I've ever read. But I will be doing a separate review at some point soon, hopefully, about this. Probably not going to do a predictions video since it's already Saturday and it's just not going to come up in time. That's why I gave you a few of my predictions in this episode. So I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't, because that would make me super happy. I love you. Good night.